And just a quick item through the chair. And I think what I've heard in particular from City Council representatives and Board of Supervisor representatives in Marin County is that I think where they're looking about some specific language on CEQA is if there is substantial change to the site. So that could mean a larger, I'm making this up right now, right? But a larger tower and or an expanded tower with a co-located facility with 3 or 4 different antennas on one. And I think that's where at least what we've heard on our end is the concern in regards to the environmental impacts.
Okay. Would you like one of my experts to respond?
Sure. With your permission, Senator, the Assembly member is correct. So under federal law, federal law says that you're supposed to, the localities are supposed to take final action on an application within the period that's presumptively reasonable. That includes all necessary permits, including CEQA. So for the way it's supposed to work in the large majority of times is that CEQA is dealt with within the period, just like every other thing you have to do is dealt with within the period. If there is a special circumstance, in those very rare instances, for example, where an environmental impact report may be necessary and cannot be done within the lawful shot clock period, then the locality, what happens is the locality calls the applicant and says, we can't do this within the shot clock period, agree to an extension or we're going to have to deny your application on that basis. So what happens is the applicant agrees to an extension. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, and I think the item that still needs to be worked out is what constitutes that trigger, whether it's an EIR or a neg deck, right? Does that constitute a substantial change? So I think that is some language on the CEQA front that needs to continue to be discussed with local government. And that's just my own editorial being one.
Okay, so we feel the bill already recognizes this. However, we're glad to take a look at language always.
I appreciate it.
Very well, Senator Fuller.
Well, I'm glad to hear you're taking the amendments because for me there was 2 issues, and I think the first is that in my area we really need cell phone towers because 911 goes through that, and in my area everybody has a cell phone nowadays rather than a landline, and you can't find their location, and it's huge. You know, my 3 counties are huge, and so you can't find their location unless the cell phone tower is close enough for you to figure out, pinpoint where they're at. So safety for my folks is a really big issue, and I looked up, and there's not, for most of the areas, there is not a lot of backed up cell phone towers, but in my area, we want them all, so we're pretty happy to take everybody else's. So we try to make it as simple as possible, and we'll weigh in on the favor today of yes to support the fact that we need the safety of the cell phone towers. I do think that the amendments will make all the difference for the local control, and I believe this bill is going to Governance and Finance next, which is where the local control issues generally, like this committee is sort of more, do we need it, do we not, you know, how's the balance of energy, and that's what we're doing here. But in Governance and Finance, they'll probably work through the amendments with a fine-tooth comb, and I feel certain, knowing your reputation and knowing you, that you will do that with them because you are a very detail-oriented person. So I'm willing to vote for this today on the basis that this is a failure to act. When I was a school superintendent, knew other superintendents who just failed to act, and they got into a lawsuit with people. I thought that was just a horrible thing for everybody. And then if this discourages failure to act, then I'm all for it, especially since at any point where you've created a record, you say no. if there's a bad tower out there that you can look at it and you say it's going to take too long, or it doesn't look safe, or we're not happy with it, once you have the record that you sent out asking for that stuff, the information, then you just say no. Then if you want to talk more about it later with each other, you can, but you stop it. So I'm voting for it today. Thank you.
Senator Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And, I think it's been mentioned a number of times that, we have to find the appropriate balance, the necessity for appropriate balance. I think today we don't have that appropriate balance. I think there are some challenges, and as Senator McGuire was talking about, and certainly Senator Fuller, the due process for the public, the proper notice, the ability for the public to weigh in on issues that are important to them. I think that's something, and I appreciate your willingness to look at that. And I do feel that the next Committee on Governance and Finance will be where those issues will be discussed and certainly brought out as a whole. One of the questions that comes to mind, and I appreciate your willingness to look at that seriously and deal with it. The other part is the consistency with the FCC ruling. I guess I'm kind of wondering, and mentioned in certainly in the analysis and in the FCC ruling of 2009, talking about the fact that a deemed approval remedy was not the solution. I mean, and they clearly stated that to the contrary, to a failure to act occurs that those cases where courts have issued such injunctions upon finding a failure to act within a reasonable time, they have done so only by after examining all the facts in the case. So it's a case-by-case basis when they determine that. Why do you feel that this is important at this point, contrary to the FCC ruling?
Okay, so two things. First of all, going to court over this is the last thing anyone wants to do. The person who's trying to do the citing, the company, they do not want to sue the entity that's going to eventually have to give them the permit. So it's almost never is resorted to. Second, my understanding is that the FCC did not have the authority to make that ruling, that they were given authority specifically on the 60 days, but not the 90 and the 150. And that had to do with the way the bill was originally written. Now, Congress could change that bill, but probably not this Congress. This Congress doesn't seem to be able to do much of anything. But here in the state, we can get things done, and I think this would be a very important thing to do. So again, they didn't make the ruling because they didn't have the authority. We have that authority here. And I can tell you, I just want California to be looked at as a place where you can do business, where things can get done. And that's one of the things that I ran on, and which I will continue to do. I will look at other areas where we can make California a place where business can get done.
Okay. And one more, if I could, Mr. Chair. The industry feels that since 2009, the problem still exists, I guess, and obviously that's why we're here today. Is that the case? Has there been an improvement at all since the FCC ruling? Or
again, I'll ask for my expert witnesses.
With your permission, the problem has gotten worse because the demand for mobile data. I mean, imagine where we were in 2009, and imagine where we are today. I mentioned earlier that Cisco estimates we're going to see a 10-fold increase in mobile data traffic between, I think, last year and 2019. 10-fold. They were prescient in 2009 to adopt the shot clock. It is more important than ever, particularly in the beating heart of our economy in California.
Very good. Well, I'll certainly support it today because I think in this committee this is an important issue, but I'll watch what occurs in Governance and Finance.
Senator Leyva.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. I think we find ourselves in a challenging situation because we all want our mobile devices to be the quickest, the best, to download as much data as we possibly can. However, and the fact that if this bill passes, possibly there would be job creation and possibly good job creation in the communities that most of us represent, which I would always be in favor of. However, having heard from all my county Board of Supervisors, having heard from the cities that I represent that they are in opposition of the bill, it does give me some pause, because we enact laws here, or we pass bills, and then the governor does or doesn't sign them, and then the folks that we represent live with them, right? So it does cause me some concern. I'm not going to be able to support the bill today, but I would hope that we could move forward and work something out. We do need more towers so that folks have access to their data and their phone service, but I think we also have to be cognizant that when our supervisors and our cities have concerns, that maybe there is something there. So I would look forward to continuing working, but I won't be able to vote yes today.
I just want to, before you close, just to comment on this, because, I mean, it's very easy for us to just say, well, you know, because first of all, my commitment is to work to with the author to incorporate some of your concerns into the remedies of this bill, because I do believe we need to get every detail of the noticing right, and there's got to be a fair opportunity for the public to weigh in. And I think that is critical to this process. Without that, this bill doesn't have a chance of surviving, because generally, I mean, this is pretty much paramount to the way we create healthy and livable and great communities in California. On the other hand, it's been my experience at the local level that there are just some antennas, because of their location geographically, they are unsightly. Not all antennas require the same height. They don't require the same design. Some can be hidden very easily into the urban environment. Those are permitted now. I don't think those have ever had a problem being permitted. I've seen a lot of those just go right through the process with no public opposition because, frankly, they're undetectable, or they're scarcely undetectable. But there are some that no matter how you design them, they are unsightly. So you have to decide there and then if it's, you have to decide, are you going to provide that community access to telecommunications or not? And today we are talking about providing greater access to underserved communities. And oftentimes that's going to require citing a resource that is unsightly to the community, and there is no solution around it. I don't see how you can make these facilities invisible. Until we solve that problem, we're gonna bump into, create a situation where the communities, the same communities that are supported by these services, are opposing that resource being put in their community because they don't really understand the connection, that there is really no other way to provide that support. So this is a very difficult issue to resolve that way. I think the author deserves some kudos for even taking up this issue, because it is about access to underserved communities in the final throw of this discussion. So I'll be supporting the bill today, and I will ask, did you want to make one last comment?
I have one last comment.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, and I really appreciate that, Mr. Chair, and I think you're absolutely right. There are a couple items that you really hit the nail on, is that one, trying to be able to get to underserved communities, and deployment, as there are so many demands that all of us have on our phones. And I just want to take a moment to say thank you to the chair, because I know you've been working on this, and I appreciate your willingness to be able to continue to see this through. And also, and I said this to the author earlier today, is appreciate his work, because this is a very sticky issue, and know where he wants to be able to go on that. And I think, frankly, in the district that work in, and we have a supervisor here from Humboldt, we would just be grateful to have cell phone coverage, just because it's so mountainous and rural. But in many areas, it's near impossible. And I also know that there's been a lot of last-minute concerns that have been coming in on this bill. And to be able to allow the author to work on these issues, along with local government, I think it's going to be really important. I'm personally going to just stay off the bill today, know that he's going to be working, and I know we have Chairman Hertzberg here from the next destination as well. That
He's going to fix it.
is very focused. But I think it is going to be important to be able to focus on the issues related to public noticing as well as the CEQA language. You know, that unable to come to a final determination on that today, but allow it to get worked out as it moves forward. And again, Mr. Chair, I just want to say thank you for all your work on
Senator
this.
Wolk?
Just a question, Mr. Chair. Is the motion going to include the suggested amendment as? Thank you.
Yes, and
That's
my
all.
commitment to work with all of you to make sure that the final language conforms to
Thank you.
your taste. And we'll ask the presenter to close.
Yes, so as the bill was described by the representative from San Francisco, I wouldn't support it either. But that's not the bill that's before you. The bill before you allows all of the considerations that that representative discussed. And if there's not a proper reply from the company willing to install it, they can deny it. Not a problem at all. And they can deny it on the 30, the shot clock is over, or at whatever point, they can just deny. And that's still there, and those obligations are still there. The amendment that we took in this committee is meant to make that clear. Any way that I can make that clearer, I will definitely be working with this chair and staff and the chair and staff in the government committee. Thank you.
Can we entertain a movement to move the bill forward with amendments? We have a amendment, thank you, and we have a motion, thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Do pass as amended to Governance and Finance, Weso?
Aye.
Weso, I. Fuller?
Aye.
Fuller, I. Canella?
Aye.
Canella, I. Hertzberg? Hertzberg, I. Hill?
Aye.
Hill, I. Lara? Lara, I. Leva? Leva, no. McGuire? Morel? Morel, I. Pavley? Wolk? Wolk, I.
Very well, your bill is out.
Thank you.
We'll hear item 5AB 1013.
I almost forgot.
No. Yeah. We haven't, yeah.
So we'll see if this one, Chair and Senators, can move a little quicker. I'd like to start by first accepting the committee's suggested amendments found on page 4 of the analysis. So we're accepting those. With that, Assembly Bill 1013 would require the California Energy Commission to routinely adjust and update its public domain software that models energy usage. The bill would also make consumers aware of potential differences between the model and their actual energy use patterns. Both anecdotal evidence and controlled studies have observed that software-based energy analysis of inefficient existing homes tend to overpredict pre-retrofit energy and retrofit energy savings. AB 1013 would address this problem by requiring the Energy Commission to perform preliminary software tests using examples of common residential and non-residential buildings to make the result of these tests publicly available before approving a public domain program to estimate energy consumption.
Do we have any opposition to this bill? Anybody in the public wish to speak in opposition? Anybody would like to speak in favor? Just see if you would weigh in. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
That's
I mean,
fine.
I think we understand this bill, and we're hearing from members that want to support it.
Quickly, Steve Cruz here in support the California Building Industry Association, and then the California Business Property Association asked me to weigh in as well. So very quickly, as the Assembly member stated, 1013 would require CDC to make available public updated versions of the public domain computer compliance programs at least 6 months prior to the effective date of standards, and in doing so, ensures that architects, energy consultants, and building officials have the compliance tools they need far enough in advance to effectively design, implement, and enforce new regulations. And so we think this information will be incredibly valuable for us, and so we ask the committee and urge your support. Thanks.
Okay, very well. Anybody in the committee have any questions, any concerns, any additional information required? Yeah, if you want to make some
Thank
closing
you.
comments, I think.
I'll quit while I'm ahead.
Okay, very well.
Smart man.
Senators, we have a motion by Senator Cannella. Clerk, please call the roll.
Do pass as amended to appropriations. Wesso?
Aye.
Wesso, I. Fuller?
Aye.
Fuller, I. Cannella? Cannella, I. Hertzberg? Hertzberg, I. Hill? Hill, I. Laura? Laura, I. Leva? Leva, I. McGuire? McGuire, I. Morel? Morel, I. Pavley? Wolk? Wolk, I.
So that bill has 10 votes. It's officially out. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And if we can entertain a motion on the consent calendar. We have a motion on the consent calendar by Senator Wolk. Clerk, please call the roll.
Wesso?
Aye.
Wesso, I. Fuller?
Aye.
Fuller, I. Cannella? Cannella, I. Hertzberg? Hertzberg, I. Hill? Hill, I. Laura? Laura, I. Leva? Leva, I. McGuire? McGuire, I. Morel? Morel, I. Pavley? Wolk? Wolk, I.
Very well, that bill is out. We will take up item 7, AB 1262. We have Assemblymember Wood. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. We're pleased to have you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Chair and members. This is AB 1262.
Let me just take a survey of the audience before you begin.
Sure.
If you could just show of hands, how many of you are here in support of the bill? How many of you are here in opposition of the bill? Any opposition? Okay. Or did you want to make some comments on your bill? We're ready to support it today, looks like.
Respectfully ask for your vote.
Very well. Did anybody want to comment on the bill at all? Anyone? Okay. Did we want to entertain a motion? We have a motion by Senator Hertzberg. Clerk, please call the roll.
Do pass to appropriations. Wesso?
Aye.
Wesso, I. Fuller?
Aye.
Fuller, I. Cannella? Cannella, I. Hertzberg? Hertzberg, I. Hill? Hill, I. Laura? Laura, I. Leva? Leva, I. McGuire? McGuire, I. Morel? Morel, I. Pavley? Wolk? Wolk, I.
Assemblymember Wood, your bill is out, and I have to commend you. That's one of the best presentations I've seen since I've been here.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
I think that is a record. So we will take up the bills on call, beginning with item 1, SB 657 by Senator Monning. Clerk, please call the roll.
Do pass as amended to appropriations. Current vote 7-0. Chair voting aye. Cannella? Cannella, aye. Hertzberg? Hertzberg, aye. Laura? Laura, aye. Pavley. So it's 10-0.
That bill is out with a 10-0 vote. We'll take up item 2, AB 57.
That one's out.
By clerk, that one is out? Okay.
You announced that.
That one is out. Then we'll go to item 3, 568 by Assemblymember Dodd.
Do pass to the floor. Current vote 8-0. Cannella?
Aye.
Cannella, aye. Hertzberg? Hertzberg, aye. Pavley.
Okay, we'll go on to the next item, which would be, I think, item 6
Yes.
by Assemblymember Redden, AB 1119.
Do pass to governance and finance. Current vote 8-0. Cannella? Cannella, aye. Hertzberg?
Another bill in my committee. Aye.
Hertzberg, aye. Pavley.
You guys are killing me.
That one's out.
Let me see, and that pretty much takes care of all of them?
Yep.
Okay, all right, we're adjourned. Thank you, all of you.
At least they're working together.